Welcome to the Seeking Wellness podcast, a journey to discover balance, wholeness, and holistic ways to thrive. I'm your host, Tash from We Are for Wellness, and together we will explore and discover ways to lead a more balanced life, mind, body, and soul. Are you curious about alternative therapies, starting your spiritual journey, or simply looking for practical ways to feel better? You're in the right place. Through inspiring conversations with expert providers and healers, this podcast is here to guide you. Let's explore and seek the path to wellness together. Hi guys, welcome back to the Seeking Wellness podcast with Tash. I am with Jo Adams today, who is a women's strength and menopause coach who empowers midlife women through fitness and nutrition. Super interesting. And you were just literally telling me how it can go from people that are like 35 to 70, that's crazy. And 35 to me is scary because I'm 33.
Yeah, perimenopause is because of lifestyle, what's going on in the world, it's hitting women earlier and earlier. So
yeah, wow. So we'll talk about that. But first of all, let's start with you and what led you to investigating and looking down this kind of genre, if that's even the right word, but this area of expertise.
Well, I never really used to do anything fitness wise, particularly sort of through my sort of 20s and 30s. I had my son at 30 and I just went to work, and Friday nights were Chinese takeaway or whatever, and a bottle of wine and drinking over the weekend. And I was like getting to 40 and I was thinking, I don't feel particularly, it wasn't like I was particularly overweight or anything. I didn't really have any energy, just tired all the time. And a friend of mine asked me if I wanted to join her on this sort of mud run thing that she went on.
Oh yeah, I've done one of those. But I think mine was a foam one though, not the muddy one, the cleaner one.
Well, this was a muddy thing, and I don't particularly like cold weather. But I was like, okay, I was a bit like, I'm just going to start saying yes to things. So went along, and it was horrific at times. However, I laughed the whole time, and I was having quite a stressful time in my marriage and everything, and it just gave me something to enjoy. And I did a few of them and realized that I didn't want men to have to lift me over the walls and the obstacles, because it was all using like obstacles and things. I wanted to be able to do it myself. So I started getting fitter, and I realized how much it affected my mental health and how much better I felt in myself, just feeling stronger. It's not about being skinny or anything or losing weight. It was just about feeling stronger, making better choices in my food. I have more energy. So I then qualified as a personal trainer when I was about 42, I think. And I wanted sort of really to help other women of my sort of age feel like that. So I started running boot camps and I had some clients, but I was working in my real job. I'm a primary school teacher and I have been for 28 years. So I was still doing that and just doing boot camps and a couple of evenings a week. And then COVID hit, and I had a lot of time on my hands, and my marriage had broken down. And so I realised a lot of my friends have really been struggling with what we sort of thought as menopause, only because a few of them have started to go to their doctors and things. And I started to do some research, and then I did a few courses during COVID. And then I realised that actually a lot of what I'd been going through, I'd been putting down to stress, was actually perimenopause. And now obviously I've done so much work with it, and it's been 6 years or whatever I've been helping women. I realize it's a massive spectrum of symptoms, and it's happening earlier and earlier because of lifestyle changes, the chemicals in the environment and the hormones are in our food and everything else. I'm now part-time. I only teach a couple of days a week so I can run my business. That was another decision I made in lockdown. But I'm seeing children as young as 8 start their periods, so they're starting earlier and earlier. And then women are hitting perimenopause early, and perimenopause lasts for up to 10 years. So, and a lot of women don't really realise what's happening to their body because no one's told them, they're not prepared for it. So they just keep putting it off and putting it off. I'm just thinking, I just don't feel myself, and I don't really know. That's generally the first sign, is like you just feel a bit off and you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, women's health is really important, and like you said, we don't get told about it in schools. You mentioned earlier, and for me, from my kind of background, I lost my period due to HA, hypothalamic amenorrhea, So for 2 years, didn't have a period because my hypothalamus and my brain stopped talking to my ovaries to conserve energy. I was working out too much, exercising too much, not eating enough, and mental stress.
Yeah.
But I never knew, so I like never knew about what the hell that was. I just thought I was being healthy, eating well or whatever, and working out. And you just don't know about your hormones. You never get told about these things until you're faced with these challenges. So,
Exactly.
so what is perimenopause then? So that's before
So
menopause, but what
people,
does that mean?
yeah, people talk about menopause, but menopause is actually one day. It's only one day. That's
Oh
12 months
wow.
from your, yeah, 12 months from your last period, unless you go in through surgical menopause, obviously. And then everything after that day, you're post-menopause. So when you go through puberty and then through your teens and your 20s, you're pre-menopause. And then perimenopause is that period. It can last up to 10 years and it can be a range of symptoms. So what happens is your estrogen, because we're sort of fueled by our sex hormones, so estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, and estrogen particularly is in every single cell in our body, every single cell receptor. So it goes up and down like a roller coaster. So it's not a steady decline. That's why so many women have so many different symptoms at different times. One day you can be crying, the next day you're angry. Like, it is literally a
Mm,
hormonal roller coaster going on. And the progesterone is like that sort of protecting care inside as well. And then that's dipping down. And testosterone, people just think, oh, that's to do with libido, but it's not. It's to do with like a lot of your brain fog, just that motivation to be able to get up. A lot of women become quite reclusive and don't really want to go out, and they don't really know what's going on with them. And then it's really hard for their family to support them because the woman doesn't understand what she's going through, let alone how can they help her. And there's so many GPs don't know because they don't have to have any training in menopause, which is crazy when
mm,
half the population go through it. Like women's health, when you start doing your research, it makes you really angry that so little has been put into women's health.
mm.
It's all been, all the tests and drug tests are all done on men. I
Yeah,
didn't realise.
because women
Yeah,
it's fluctuate their hormones, so every
yeah,
study is
because
mainly
of our
men.
hormones, and
Yeah.
they're just like, oh, it's too complicated, so we'll just ignore that and we won't look at it. But actually, now finally, people are starting to talk about it, and there's people like Lisa Mosconi. She's an amazing neurologist, so she's looking into the effects on the female brain from perimenopause. But yeah, so there is finally stuff going on, but like I said, it needs to be spoken about in schools. Children, when
Mm,
they teach girls about their puberty, and I do it because I teach year fives one day a week, and actually I will speak to them now when I have to do their puberty talk. I will talk to them about menopause and explain the whole range and what's going on with their hormones.
mm,
So yeah, so perimenopause can be like a pain in your finger. Like it can be that's estrogen because you've got estrogen everywhere. It can be your mood swings. It can be your periods might start changing if you have periods. Some people have a coil, so then they don't often have period or know what's going on. Because it's not just hot flushes.
mm.
I'll speak to women. They go, "Oh well, I'm not in perimenopause because I'm still having periods," and they're so confused. They don't know. I'm like, no, that is perimenopause. If you're
Yeah.
having any other weird symptoms, you're probably in perimenopause, because menopause generally the average age is 51, but that's sort of coming down as well. But yeah,
Okay.
mid 30s onwards, anything where you feel a little bit more anxious. People say, oh, I feel anxious for the first time, I don't really know why. um, you might get night sweats, you might get hot flashes, but not everybody does, and some people will just sort of breeze through it, so it's not like everybody's going to really struggle. But
Mm,
when we start talking to women, it seems more women are struggling now. And I think, again, that might be modern life because we're all trying to run jobs, might have teenagers or young children because more women having children later. So you're juggling young children, and then you might have aging parents as well. So you're sort of being pulled so many different ways. Whereas maybe my mum's generation and beyond, they weren't working, so they weren't as much stress
mm.
basically.
Yeah, and it's so interesting that you said that menopause is just one day because people say that I'm going through the menopause, but technically it's just one day. You're in perimenopause, and you
Yeah.
mentioned about the estrogen everywhere. I remember, I swear there's like estrogen receptors in your bladder. So like,
Everywhere,
yeah,
every
yeah.
single cell.
But one of them with because I kept needing to go for a wee all the time, and apparently that is to do with estrogen. Like I had low
Yeah,
estrogen receptors
yeah.
in your bladder, so it affects
So
you
you might
in
get
every
UTIs, a
way.
lot of
Yeah,
women. Yeah.
UTIs. My hair was falling out like in clumps. Does that happen
Mhm.
perimenopause?
Yeah, that's another sign. That's a definitely hair thinning,
Mm,
itchy skin. I mean, there's 34 official perimenopause symptoms, but there's definitely more beyond that. Because I kept in lockdown, I kept doing COVID tests because I had this weird taste in my mouth, but it affects your oral health as well.
mm,
So you get like inflamed gums, dry mouth. I was getting burning tongue. And it just
mm.
affects all your taste sensors. Again, that's this all the estrogen. It's just so bizarre when you start people, even when I speak to them, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was it." But yeah, UTIs, brain fog, every single part of your body, basically, your joints will ache. A lot of women get frozen shoulder, and they don't
Oh,
realize that that's like one of the first symptoms. Plantar fasciitis as well, when you get your pain in your feet.
mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, what a lot of you've had IBS, your IBS will generally get worse because it affects your digestion. So
Yeah.
like women generally live longer than men, but we're often in ill health because of the east. Once the estrogen's pretty much gone, then we're more prone to like stroke and heart attacks, dementia. It's all because the estrogen's gone.
Mm,
That's why HRT can be a lifesaver, and they sort of a lot of the research at the moment is saying that that's got a preventative side to it. So for years people were a bit scared because of the studies that were done. I think it was 2005 where they reckon there was a link to breast cancer. But that is such a minute. It's what's 4 in 100. So you've got a higher
ah,
risk if you're overweight or if you smoke or drink
mm,
alcohol. You're at a higher risk than being of breast cancer than being on HRT. So if you're struggling, don't feel like you've got to be, oh, I can't possibly go on HRT. Try it. Like it's worth giving it a go because it will give some women their life back. And my mum's been on it for 30 odd years.
mm,
Like you can stay on it forever. And she's walking an hour and a half every day. She's very active. Her skin looks better. It's helping you again, helping putting that estrogen back into your body that you need.
okay. And what about like herbs? Have you ever looked into herbs like red clover or vitex or anything, or
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
not play
There's
around with
some
that?
some women. Yeah. Obviously, there are women that can't take HRT. Some people they just don't agree with it, and some people, if you've had an estrogen-fed breast cancer, then you're
Mm,
not allowed to take
mm,
HRT. So yeah, there are definitely there's a lot you can do with food as well with nutrition for
mm.
symptoms. And I work with essential oils. There's loads you can do with essential oils to reduce things like hot flushes and hair thinning and stuff. So
Oh,
there
amazing.
are definitely other options. Don't feel like don't say to women it's the be all and end all. It's you can lifestyle. Actually, the theme this year for World Menopause Day is lifestyle medicine. Lifestyle has the biggest impact on your symptoms.
Okay, so talk to me about that. So let's talk about the nutrition side then. How does that help with perimenopause?
Okay, so obviously with that estrogen going down and everything getting affected, you'll a lot of women don't also as once from 35 I think onwards like mid 30s we start to lose 3 to 8% of our muscle mass each year.
Oh, blimey.
Like you're losing muscle, and muscle is the key to longevity basically. So we want muscle to keep us upright and strong and be able to walk around and go to the toilet and get up and down the stairs as we get
Mm,
older. So we want to protect that muscle. So protein is so important. We need to eat more protein. So many women don't eat enough protein.
definitely me.
Um, yeah,
I'm
if
a
you realise
pescatarian and I struggle to
it's
get
hard
in.
if you're vegetarian, definitely.
Yeah.
So sometimes that you need to supplement sometimes with a decent clean protein powder because some
Mm,
have got rubbish in them. But yeah, protein is really important to protect our muscles, and that helps us with our immune system and everything else. Fiber, again, like as I said, it affects your
hmm.
gut health. So you need to be making sure that you're getting 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day. It's putting things like in your breakfast, add in the chia seeds and the flax seeds.
Mm,
Seeds are really useful. Um, yeah, just really thinking about your vegetable thing. If you have carbs, minimize carb. You don't like you need carbs for energy, but go for the sort of healthy like the brown rice and make sure you have protein with carbs as well because it all spikes your blood glucose. So
mm.
And that the bit when women go, oh, I can't, I'm just doing what I normally do, and I've got all this sort of like belly fat, that's like visceral fat that we know is dangerous. It's not good for us. So we want to try and reduce that. So we need to make sure we're eating steadily, because a lot of women, I'll say to them, well, what did you have for breakfast? And they don't eat breakfast. They'll have a cup of coffee or grab a bit of toast and jam on the way going out the door. And that's the worst thing you can do for cortisol and your blood sugar. We want to keep it nice and steady. So you need a protein breakfast in the morning, like relax, enjoy, not shoveling it down, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because your cortisol level's naturally high in the morning, isn't it? As you wake. So when you're skipping breakfast, fasting, having coffee, spiking your adrenals, it's really not good. So is that
like you said, the adrenals?
Yeah.
And that's what happens. And you probably know because of what happened to you. Your adrenal glands take over when your estrogen's completely crashing.
Yeah.
Your cortisol and insulin takes over, and that's the belly fat then.
Yeah.
So if you then put it under more stress, it's just going, oh, I'm hanging on to this fat for dear life, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Bob's very clever.
Yeah, exactly. It's so clever. So the lower belly fat that's stubborn and stuff like that, is that like seen as a cortisol belly? Like usually due to yeah, I can relate to that.
You need to do self-care. You need to do things that calm you and relax you and try and not let that cortisol spike. I mean, it's not everything, but it's a lot of it. So trying to make sure that you take time for yourself, that you're enjoying your food, a bit of mindfulness, eating the foods that are good for you, that are going to nourish your body, instead of starving yourself and then having biscuits at 11 o'clock. Obviously, we've got a massive rise in people taking GLP-1s, and I absolutely understand women's desperation to lose weight.
Sorry, what is that?
The Manjaro.
Oh, that. Okay, that's how I know it. Yeah. I've heard of that.
So they're called GLP-1s. They block basically the sense to your brain that tells you that you're hungry. So what women are doing is they're just not eating. And for a woman in going through perimenopause, that is absolutely messing your hormones up even more. You're just putting your body under so much stress. And to starve yourself is, that's just not good for you. And then what happens is, where they're losing weight, and quite often quite quickly, you're losing muscle, and that's the last thing you want to do, because you lose that muscle, you're really going to be an old woman who can't get out of bed or whatever. So if you want to be fit and active, you need that muscle. So if you're going to do them, they've got to be done under supervision with the GP and with some exercise. So making sure you're doing resistance training as well to keep that muscle, and not starving yourself. This is a problem. Women just want to lose weight really quickly, instead of just being a bit patient and just slow and consistent and making those changes. It will come off, but in a healthy way, without messing up your hormones anymore.
So with the strength and obviously protecting your bones, I guess, and your bone density, how does that kind of strength training particularly help people that are in perimenopause? Is it to protect their bones?
Yeah, we realise that we've realised how important it is for older women to start doing strength training, because it's not been a thing. I mean, I've come from the generation who did loads and loads of cardio, just hours of cardio, which is fine. You still need to do cardio. We need, like I said, the estrogen affecting our heart. We want to keep our heart strong. It's a muscle as well. So a bit of cardio is good, but picking up some weights or doing some even body weight, or putting a resistance band on. You don't need to spend hours in the gym. Like my ladies, a lot of them, I set them a program and they can do it from home, no more than like 25, 30 minutes. So it's got to fit into your day. They're all busy women, but that can make a big difference. Like, it literally can be a game changer. Just 2 or 3 strength sessions a week, start with light dumbbells and then building it up once you've got the confidence in it. But even just body weight, things like squats, that sort of functional health, things that are going to help you pick up your shopping bags, get on and off the toilet, get on out the seat, reaching up into the cupboards, all those things that are going to keep you independent for as long as possible. Like, we don't want to be in a care home with someone looking after us. We want to be able to look after ourselves. So that's why it's so important. You've got to think about the long-term goal, not about, I just want to be skinny and lose a load of weight.
Yeah, it's such a big important topic, really, like that's not really discussed. The same with when I lost my period, that no one really knows much about it. The doctors even told me to go back on the pill and carry on working out because it's good for my mental health, but yeah, you don't really realize the long-term effects. Like, yeah, it was good for my health in a way if you just look at it on a surface level, but not really if you zoom out and see how much I was working out and the stress it was putting on my body.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's the thing. It can exercise is fantastic, but it can be addictive. I know because when you've got into doing it, you do get addicted to working out, and you've got to like get that balance of
mm,
just for perimenopausal women and postmenopause because you keep active as long as possible, and it's never too late to start. So if people have gone through menopause and they're thinking, oh well, I have ladies that come to me when they're 60 and they've done nothing,
yeah,
and
it's
then
great.
they're already yeah, and it's great because then they're very quickly in a few months. And one of my ladies, I think she's 66 now, and she's been with me for a few months, and she's like, they were moving house recently. She said, I was able to lift and carry the boxes up and down the stairs. I feel I can go for a walk and I'm not exhausted. So just that everyday lifestyle thing, that's
Mm.
why it's so important because you want to be healthy and fit.
Yeah. I remember speaking to someone before, it was in a gym actually years ago, and they believed they was going through perimenopause, sorry, perimenopause. And they said about, yeah, brain fog, and they just feel like a totally different person. So how can maybe we reframe that kind of feeling that, I don't know, maybe make it more powerful that, I don't know, you're stepping into a new version of you need to learn to love and have compassion.
Oh, 100%. That's sort of my message is for the Japanese don't even have a word for menopause. They call it kaniki, which is a new beginning. It's like a new spring. So it's reframing once you educate yourself and you understand what is going on in your body, and then you can be a bit kinder to yourself because you are going through a hormonal storm,
Mm,
and it's getting, like I say, like have a menopause toolkit, so knowing what's going to do to help you, speaking about it, being confident to speak to your partner, speak to your friends who are probably going through a similar thing, hopefully speaking to a GP or a nurse that is understanding. So phone your surgery and ask to speak to somebody who knows about menopause. Then hopefully there should be one in the surgery that can help you. But if you're educated, you know when you go to that 10-minute appointment what you want to ask for, and taking control of it and not and being kind to yourself. Self-care really important, like that whole thing about the cortisol. Taking we for years we've like nurtured everybody else, might have been a parent or whatever, or at work, and now it's sort of our time. I feel fitter and stronger and more aware of me than I've ever been in my whole life, and I'm like not determined this is like a new, you could be 30 years post menopause. If you go through it at 50, it finished your perimenopause and you'll have menopause at 50, hopefully another 30 odd years. So you want that 30 odd years to be, amazing and great and vibrant. And so, yeah, it's definitely telling yourself not like, oh, I have to work out, but oh, I get to work out. Like I'm strong enough to go for an hour's walk with a friend, or enjoy going for a walk is one of the best things you can do for your
mm,
mental health. It's just getting out in the fresh air. So yeah, it's like empowering yourself to live your best years basically, and hopefully if you like my son's just moved out, it's really hard becoming an empty nester. I thought I was like ready for the end of the mess and everything else, but actually I
yeah.
really it's really quiet. However, it's my time now, so I'm doing things that I want to do
Yeah,
without having to worry
precisely.
about anybody else, and I think that's great.
Yeah. And with your coaching and your programs, so how do you support women through those? So with their lifestyle, nutrition, their mental, kind of mentally, you support them as well, their mental health?
Yeah, well, I say everyone's different. Everyone's going through different experiences of it. So we have a consultation to start with, and then we sort of see where they're at, and then we go from there. Really, and we focus on whatever we need to focus on most. So there'll always be some sort of like exercise, but it will be if they've done nothing, it might be we just have one session a week, and then I'll say, right, I want you to go out for a walk, or I want you to focus on your breakfast to start with. So it's small steps,
Mm,
small habits that we can build on that habit stacking. Sometimes it's just an ear. Some ladies will come to me face to face. Some I just have online. I'm just finishing off a group at the moment, so I have got a group program. But I've just started a new community online on the school website. It's called SKOOL,
okay.
and that's like my new little baby. So that is going to be a great support. I've already like the ladies have it's a safe space for women to ask questions. I've got an HRT nurse I work with, so she's within there, and I've got a nutritionist I work with as well. So and we'll do expert speaker sessions, so people have got an opportunity to ask questions. And I run a menopause mingle, which is another like once every 3 months.
Oh,
So that's
nice.
a free event for women in Ashford to come along to and ask
Oh, great.
questions.
Yeah, it's great. It's great that you're empowering people and raising awareness. That's really key.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I like to ask everyone that I have a little chat with if they could maybe share a question, kind of putting you on the spot, or maybe a homework task, a question or a homework task that you could kind of give to the listeners in relation to what we've discussed.
Oh, a homework task, I would say, is to get out and go for a walk every day, even if it's 10 minutes, but
Mm-hmm.
you'll feel better. Once you get out, you'll probably go, I'll just go for 10 minutes. And then once you get out, you feel better. And yeah, because we're quite often, especially in this country, we're lacking in vitamin D. Definitely get a vitamin D supplement, just the spray one. But yeah, get some fresh air every single day, whether it's raining, cold, wrap up warm, or whatever. If you can, go with a friend or stick a podcast in, that's going to inspire you. There's so many
Mm.
great podcasts, and see your one. Listen to a podcast or an audio book, and just have that bit of time on your own.
Yeah, perfect. And I believe you're on the We Offer Wellness platform as well, with some bits and bobs on there. So please check Jo out. Thank you so much, Jo. It's been very informative, and you do wonders in the world for something that we all need to
Thank you. No,
know,
I
all
absolutely love
females.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
see women within a few weeks, I had a client and she'd stopped working. She was being signed off sick. And she was just totally overwhelmed by her menopause symptoms. And she's working with me and she's now gone back to work. She's, coping with the stresses and everything a lot better. She's doing her exercise every single week. She's ticking them off and she feels so
Mm.
much better.
And it's so
So yeah, it
rewarding for
doesn't take a
you.
lot.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And it's so rewarding because you've changed their life completely. So
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
for something that everyone goes through that we just need way more compassion and awareness for. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Visit weofferwellness.co.uk to find lots of wellness experiences along with more resources to help you on your wellness journey.